few months ago, I did a review of the 296 GT3 by BBR models. It is an excellent model. Since then, BBR introduced a new product line. It is called their Competition Series, and it consists of all of the GT cars, the Ferrari specifically, GT cars of IMSA. IMSA being the American Endurance Series. It's the opposite or the WEC's counterpart in the United States. Now, the great thing about these models is you're getting a model that's crafted and made by BBR at a much less price. And what I mean by that is the average price of the BBR 296 GT that I did the review for, the average price on that one is about $400 US. You will find the Competition Series roughly around $250. So it is a significant discount compared to the BBR counterpart. What made me wonder was, what is the difference between these two? If these are both being made by BBR, well, there are some sacrifices made to produce this model at a lesser price. And what you'll find is that there are some differences, but not as many as you think. This is the Ferrari 296 GT3 Risi Competizione for 2023, the number 62 that campaigned the Daytona 24 hours. And again, this model is by BBR Models. This is what they're calling their competition series of models. And specifically, doing my research on this, when I first mentioned these, which was actually in one of my Spotlight News, I mentioned that this was being issued or coordinated with TSM as far as the release of these models. So I thought that these were going to be released under the TSM name. They are not. They are actual BBR models. The whole goal of this series was to have some cars that were from the IMSA series in model form at a lower price. And so that's what you have here. Now, the first thing that comes to question, of course, is okay, if these are priced lower than the BBRs, because there is a 296 BBR, and there will definitely be more of them in the future, especially as we have these cars compete in Le Mans, how much different or better are the BBRs, I should say, to these? Because these, again, are more or less at a discount, and they're made by the exact same company, BBR. So again, I was mistaken. I thought maybe BBR was just granting the license for TSM to make these. These are 100% BBR models. And so the model's obviously very nice. The shape is right because it's the BBR. A few months back, I actually did the review on the BBR model for the 296, so I'm not going to go too in depth with this model because basically it's the same thing. Now, what you probably want to know more than anything else is, are there any differences for this model to be discounted at such a price? And I will be pointing some of those things out. As I mentioned, the shape is really good. This model comes on this very beautiful, it's a simulated, but it's a carbon fiber base, and it does have a very nice plaque that it comes with as well. It has all the information, the description of the car, and to some extent, as much as you pay for the BBR model, I really do think they should have a plaque such as the one that you see on this particular model. The wheel detail on this model is fantastic because, again, it's a BBR model, so it's very accurate to the real things. Beautiful Michelins with the script on them. And the paint is very beautiful. It's definitely a BBR painted car. There's no scratches or defects or anything like that. It's polished very nicely, and very little, if any, orange peel I can identify on this particular model. The front end, again, there's really not much difference in this particular model to the BBR. You have the LEDs, which are absolutely beautiful. You have all the headlight detail. Everything is, again, just pretty much the same. But if you didn't see the BBR, well, obviously you're looking at this one here. And yeah, it's very well done, as you can see. Just going to go ahead and move to the back of it. You have two sets of perforated grills in the back. You have the top and you have the lower half as well. You have this ginormous rear diffuser in the back of this model, and it is a simulated carbon fiber
pattern that's on this diffuser, and it looks the part. The exhaust outlets look like they're metal. They probably are. They're deep enough and acceptable that they're just a great looking piece. No complaints there. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at this beautiful model. Even though this is a sealed resin model, just peering through this window, there is a lot of detail here. I am actually extremely impressed with all of the different parts that you can see inside this cockpit. Some of the best I've ever seen. Just put a spotlight so we can see a little bit more, and then look at all the controls. The carbon fiber pattern on the dashboard, it's beautiful. It's a stitched seatbelt, of course. Guys, this is a fantastic cockpit. Okay, let's go ahead and move to the other side. Just like the 296 presentation model that I have, here you have all the dials and switches, and you have the different colors, and it looks fantastic. You do have the decals that again reflect the light, and you can see that dashboard, and it looks like it's lit up. And yes, this is really great. Look at the control panel. You can see the flip switches there. This is very impressive. Here is a stitched seatbelt, as you can see there. And through the front windshield, again you see the paddles on the shifters, and it has both sets. It's a better look at those seatbelts in the driver's seat. And the carbon fiber dash. On the right we have the 296 presentation model, and on the left we have the subject matter of today, the 296 IMSA Daytona Racer. And again, let's just try and see what's so different about these two. Everything on these two is pretty much the same. What I did find, and it didn't take that long, when I opened the BBR box, I did, again for the presentation model, I did finally figure out what the biggest difference is, and you're going to be surprised at what it is. So if you notice on the BBR presentation model, all of the rivet points here are these photo etched pieces here, and they are actual quote-unquote metal pieces. They do have a reflection on the light, and in certain light, as you can see what I'm trying to do here, they definitely do reflect. So they are metallic pieces, and you see them around the fuel tank here as well. There's another one there, and throughout the back here as well. So they are everywhere. And again, in certain light, especially when it's a little bit darker, they do stand out. They almost look like they're glowing. So it is a very nice effect. So when you go to the Risi Competizione car, it does not have those. What you have in place, and it's going to be really difficult to see because this car is red and it's very shiny, is you see the dips where they're supposed to be, but they're not there. So everywhere you would see these, right there for example, you're not going to see them on here. You're just going to see the dip. Same thing for the fuel tank. I just showed you the fuel tank on the presentation model, and you can see all of those little pieces or dots there. If you go over to the Risi Competizione, it's not there. Let's go back. And then the Risi. So surprise, surprise. That really, guys, is the biggest difference between these two models. There is one more thing. So the mirror on the presentation model is carbon fiber. In the real car, it is carbon fiber. That carbon fiber pattern is missing off the Risi. Now, if you're a real stickler for how you want your model to look really good, I could agree if anyone argued this red offset with this being carbon fiber would have actually looked a lot better than it just being this flat color here. But that's it. The ducting here is, it's black plastic, of course. It's dull, right? On the BBR, you have a carbon fiber pattern within the duct. So again, the three things that I noticed that are different here is that you have all these shiny rivets or screws that you can see throughout the 296 presentation car. And they are everywhere, by the way. You see them everywhere. On the Risi Competizione, they are missing. So again, through here, there should be those rivets. You're not seeing anything. You see the dips where they're supposed to be, but they're not there. But the interior is exactly the same. Just no difference. These are identical, as you can see. Carbon fiber dashboard. Carbon fiber dashboard.
The advantage of having to be able to review models and hold on to them for an extended length of time, it allows me to actually digest what I have observed initially with the model and then come back a few days later and get some additional impressions. And that's exactly what happened with this review. I went back and I did notice a few things. Starting with the back of the model, you'll find that this mesh grille on the back of the competition model, there's really not anything behind it. When you move over to the BBR, you can see there is actually a lot of detail and a lot of other things going on behind that mesh grille, so that is missing. If you move over to the wheels are identical with the exception of the competition. Everything looks more meshed together as opposed to separate, and there is no valve stem. Move over to the BBR and everything looks a lot more defined. There is a valve stem and there's a sense of separation. If you go to the rear wheel of the competition model, same thing. It's a nice looking wheel, but there are missing elements, and with the BBR you do have, again, the valve stem. The steering wheel on both models are fantastic. They're slightly different, but they're both, I would say, equally well done as far as detail. The dash also on the competition model matches pretty much the BBR presentation model.
And there you are, the Ferrari Risi Competizione GT3 296 from BBR Competition and the 296 GT3 presentation car from BBR Models. Now let's go to my conclusions.
If you are a fan or a collector of GT models or any racing cars, then your taste or desire to have the most accurate model may be where you would veer towards getting the BBR model versus the competition series BBR model. Both models are excellent. There's no doubt about that. The BBR definitely has not much more, but it has more detail than the competition series, as you can see. If those little things like the rivets and the detail in the back of the model don't bother you, by all means, the competition you're going to be very happy with. There's no doubt about it. For me, I was okay with everything as far as the competition series. In other words, that would be one I'd be willing to buy until the back of that model. There's just something that really got to me when I noticed the back of that perforated grille and there was nothing behind it versus the BBR, the non-competition BBR, having so much more detail. That was the straw that broke the back for me to actually want to, and I'm glad that I actually do own the original BBR. Is it worth the additional $145? Probably not. Is this a great idea that BBR is doing this? Maybe. You have Look Smart, and those models are priced about the same as the competition series, and maybe that's what they were gunning for, because Look Smart also has the Ferrari license, so they will be making, and they have been making already, 296 GTs in their own wheelhouse. So that is something to keep in mind. Please like and subscribe. I really do appreciate your time, and I look forward to seeing you next time.